Welcome to another edition of Ask Ron. Got a couple good questions. The main one I'm going to lead off with is the major topic today. It's from Albertos. Albertos wants to know if you have unlimited sources and a little bit of language barrier. I think he means resources. Would you hire a guru? And if yes, who? Or you would just buy farmer grade gear and keep doing training / nutrition as always? I competed from 1989 to 2013, never had a coach, guru, whatever you want to call it, and made a lot of mistakes. But in that time, I did learn my body very well, figured out how to get in shape. Still, even then, made mistakes I probably wouldn't have made with a guru. For example, my last show, I did the 2013 Team Universe Masters, and then 2 weeks later was the Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh. I got into great condition, if I do say so myself, for the second show, the Masters. I was in pretty decent condition. I mean, it was only 2 weeks, but I dropped another few pounds, got my glutes all striated, hams all crispy and dry. I did flatten out a lot. Somebody like me can't afford to flatten out. It wouldn't have made a huge difference anyway. I didn't have the size it would have required to do a lot better than I did, which was 13th or 14th out of like 31 over 40 heavyweights. I think a coach or a guru probably could have helped me stay a little fuller with, I don't know how they could have done it, but I'm sure somebody with a lot more experience dealing with bodybuilders and peaking could have helped me reach that condition, hopefully, while maintaining a little more fullness. So all that being said, I never really felt I needed a coach or a guru. So the question here is, why? Because obviously I wouldn't spend the money if I didn't have to. But now we have this scenario where it's imaginary scenario, theoretical scenario where money's no object. I have all the money. I don't know where all this money came from, but in this scenario, I have all kinds of unlimited resources. I can get all the best gear, whatever. So in a case like that, yeah, I would hire a guru / coach, because I don't know a lot about the various drugs. And, I know I get some heat for talking about this, but there are a lot of compounds being used today at the highest national levels and the pro level, and I don't know a lot about them. I don't. And that's not to say that I couldn't do the research and figure it all out on my own. But if I have all kinds of money, I could just pay someone who already knows. Why wouldn't I? It's to me, it's just simple time and effort. Like my lawn, I don't do my own lawn and hedges and all that. I pay a company, a service that does that for me through the late spring into the early fall, because I don't want to do it. I could do it. I don't want to do it. I want to spend the time. So I could research and learn how to use all these peptides and IGF-1 and GH and insulin, everything perfectly. I could, but everything that's used. But if I could pay somebody who already knows, who is an expert on all that, and they could manage it all for me and monitor me and see what effects they're having on my physique, and I would be monitoring my own health, blood work, things like that. I would do that. I would go through a guru. Who would I use? I don't think any of these top coaches / gurus is miles above any of the other ones. You got your Hani Rambod, George Farah, Thackeray, Chad, Matt Jansen now, Matt Porter, Noel. I mean, there's a lot of guys who've been doing this for a while, and they know what they're doing, and they've studied how to use all these things, how athletes use them. So if I would hire any one of those guys, I'm sure any of the top names would be, it's in my mind, as good as any other. And I know people are going to argue about that all day, but I really believe they're all on the similar level to each other. But this is again, it's a case of unlimited resources. So I'd probably just go with somebody I knew a little bit better. I know Hani a little bit. I worked with him on the MD column. I'd probably be inclined to hire either him or George Farah, just because I know them. Not to say they're better than the other guys. People are going to say Hani's got Mr. Olympia. He must be the best. I don't know if that necessarily, he's got the physique Olympia too. I don't know if that necessarily means he's the best at what he does. He's very good at what he does. He's very good. But I think all those guys are very good at what they do. The ones that have been making a living at it for a very long time, like George and Hani and Chad, they definitely have an edge over people who haven't been doing it quite as long, just because they have that reputation, that experience. So I would go with any of those guys. I think they're all great. But to reiterate, even though I can get in shape on my own, I'm sure I could look better if I could talk to someone and be coached by someone who knew how to use all these compounds. And that's not to say that maybe my diet isn't even as good as it could be. I'm looking at things from my perspective, and I think I have everything nailed down. But a lot of times you can't be objective, and you miss things somebody else could see. So maybe I am doing things a little. I could be doing things better with my diet, my cardio, whatever, when I prep for shows. And this goes back to, you're gonna prep for you're gonna do a show again? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I do think, and I know gurus have come under fire because they're practicing medicine without a license, is the term people like to use, because they do advise on how to use these drugs, and they're not doctors. But no doctor is going to advise you. You're not going to get a medical doctor. Your local doctor is not going to help you use GH and Tren and Masteron and Primobolan, and they're not going to. It's ethically against their training and the oaths they've sworn. So no, no doctor's going to help you with your stack for winning the nationals or the Masters Nationals or the Olympia, whatever. So the next best thing is you have to go with people who have done plenty of research. Hopefully they're very, very qualified and they know what they're doing. And I would trust them, as far as I would trust anybody, because they have experience with this type of thing. And, like I said, medical doctors don't, and they're not going to help you anyway. Sorry. Next question comes to us from Nelson Muntz, my Canadian buddy. One thing I was always curious, and it might be silly, but being that you and your wife are both into the fit lifestyle, how does dinner look like at your house on a typical night? I.e., do you all eat whatever your wife cooks, or do you and your kids and wife all eat different things? I ask because, as pretty much confirmed straight bachelor and MGTOW, men going their own way, I looked into this, men going their own way. It's, they're against serious romantic relationships, and it's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at things. Type, I eat my dinner and what I want every day unless I am visiting people at a social gathering or out to dinner with someone. We don't have family dinner. I think the only time we ever have a meal all together is either if we're out at a restaurant, it's rare that my children are grown now for the most part. My daughter's 24. She's been married almost 2 years. Her and her husband still live with us. My son's 18. He'll be 19 in the fall. He's starting college in a few months. We don't sit down for dinner. And, as my wife and I consider myself obviously a bodybuilder. She doesn't consider herself a bodybuilder anymore. She does CrossFit, but she does live the same lifestyle of eating multiple meals. She eats only 3 solid meals a day and 2 shakes, whereas I do 5 meals, solid meals, and a post-workout shake. Plus, I'm having a shake in the middle of the night. So that would really come out to, in a 24-hour period, 5 solid meals and 2 shakes. So I don't have a meal that I consider dinner. I can tell you what my meal times are. I eat a meal. My breakfast is at 7:30 because I finish eating at around 8. It takes me a long time to eat breakfast. Train at 9:30. Usually shake comes at 11:15, the post-workout shake with like a piece of fruit. That's just, 55 grams of whey protein and fruit. Meal 2 usually goes around 12:30. That's usually a turkey burger, turkey cheeseburger. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. That is chicken and rice. There's another meal that's going to happen at 3 or 3:30. That's a turkey burger, an apple, and coffee with some protein shake mixed into that. I eat almost the same thing every day. Then at about 6 o'clock, I have solid meal 4 of the day, which is ground turkey with some salsa in it and a bunch of gluten-free tortilla chips. I know I've run down this before. I'm running it down again. And my final meal of the day happens around 9 or 9:30. and that's usually it's about 8 or 10 ounces of salmon with some raw green beans, and usually about half a cup of cashews or mixed nuts, unsalted. So I don't have a dinner. Most bodybuilders don't have a dinner. I just have meal. The only meal that I eat that you could put a label on is really breakfast, because that's the first meal you eat of the day is breakfast. So meal one is breakfast, and so on and so on. Um, I don't eat any of those meals with other people. I'm usually either at my kitchen table reading or looking on my phone, checking my social media, um, or I'm downstairs eating my meal, watching TV, catching up on, Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Paranormal Survival, all my dopey shows I watch. So we don't eat together. And as far as cooking, my wife doesn't even cook anymore. She cooks for herself. I cook for myself. I meal prep a couple times a week, grilling turkey burgers, baking the chicken, baking the salmon, making a big pan of the ground turkey, cooking that up. So I cook for myself, and lately I've been sharing my food that I cook with my son. He's finally really starting to get into the whole training and eating and trying to make gains. So now he really wants to put some size and weight on. So he's starting to eat a lot better. He's eating my food now. But my wife cooks for herself, and she also gets these things called kettlebell meals. It's a meal prep company that delivers to CrossFit gyms all around the Northeast. I get a couple of those meals too. I usually order like 3 a week, and those will be like an emergency meal. If I haven't cooked, if I'm falling behind on one of those batch things that I'm supposed to make big batches of, and I run out of it and I don't have any, I always have that kettlebell meal that I can thaw out and eat, and they're pretty good, complete meals. It's called Kettlebell Kitchen, actually. I don't get paid by them. I don't get any free meals from them, but it's a lot of gluten-free stuff. They do cater mostly to the CrossFit gyms, because a lot of people that do CrossFit, if you know this or not, they eat gluten-free or they eat paleo, the paleo diet, and a lot of them are professionals. They don't have time to cook. They're fairly wealthy people, successful young people for the most part that do CrossFit. I'd say between the ages of like 21 and 40. Much, much higher income bracket CrossFitters than your average gym rat, trust me. Because CrossFit gyms, they start at about 120 a month, and they can go to unlimited membership at the best CrossFit gyms, 250, maybe even a little more every month. So yeah, you can make fun of CrossFitters all you want, but these people are, they're very successful in life, most of them. So I don't sit down and eat with a family. It's a very rare thing. Maybe like if we all get together for, Christmas Eve dinner, or it's the holidays or something, and that's with her extended family. Was there another question? Do you eat whatever your wife cooks? Yeah, so like I said, my wife doesn't really cook. She cooks her own little meals, like she'll cut up like these I call them hot dogs. They're much higher quality meat than like a regular hot dog. But she makes easy meals for herself because she works 2 jobs. She works full time and she has a part time job. My wife's a hard working woman, guys. Really hard worker. The opposite of lazy. I'm much, much lazy. People think I'm a workaholic. No. Especially if you compare my work ethic to my wife's work ethic. I might make more money, but she works harder than me. So yeah, we don't eat together. I eat my food when I need to eat it, which is, every 2.5 to 3 hours, those times, and the meals that I laid out for you. That's what I need to eat and when I need to eat it to optimally fuel my body with the protein, carbs, and the fats that it needs. And she eats what she needs. She eats what she eats when she needs it. And she makes, her little meals, and she has her kettlebell meals. And the kids, I don't, my son, he eats breakfast, 2 eggs, 3 chocolate chip waffles. That's his breakfast. And then a couple other times a day, he'll take from my, my big batch of chicken or salmon or whatever I've made. He doesn't like the turkey burgers. Okay, final question. King Shizzo. Ron, do you worry about the world that your children will be forced to grow up with? I think every parent, and this probably goes back like 100 years or more. It probably goes back to like the Egyptians or something. Everyone thinks the world is in like this moral decline, like the end is coming. That's been going on forever. Decades, centuries, millennium, who knows? So that being said, I do see certain things that have happened in my lifetime that really worry me or bum me out, I should say. Changes to the world, to the United States since I was a kid. One thing is the moral compass. I do think that the world in general and the United States in particular has lost its moral compass to a large degree. Think about this. So here I am in Massachusetts. It was founded by the Pilgrims back at who came off the Mayflower. So the Puritans, the Pilgrims, whatever you want to call them, they came here because they weren't allowed to practice their religion back in England. So they practiced it here. So in those early colonial days, who went to church? Everybody went to church, whether you wanted to go or not. It was mandatory, I believe. I think you could be punished back then if you didn't go to church. And I'm not saying that was a great thing either. No, you shouldn't be forced to go to church. You shouldn't be forced to have any religious beliefs. But for centuries, church going and, theoretically living by the teachings of the Bible and so on that was the thing to do. That's what you want to do. That was looked at as a good thing. Things have swung the other way now. Back then, if you didn't believe in God and if you didn't follow the laws that God set out in the Bible, you were kind of shunned, and you could be, at the least, you'd be mocked, and you wouldn't be looked at as a person everyone wanted to hang around with. It was a bad thing. Now the pendulum has swung so far the other way that if you profess religious beliefs now, you're looked at as a freak, as a weirdo, and it's actually become the cool thing to be an atheist or an agnostic, or just do your own thing, and I make up my own rules and I'm my own God. And, I'm sorry, I don't care what your religious beliefs are. If you have no religious beliefs, you shouldn't be mocking other people, looking down on them for having a faith in a higher power. But that's what it's come to. That if you say I believe in God, I believe in Jesus Christ, or let's say I believe in Allah or Buddha, whatever, you're a religious freak, you're a Jesus freak, you're a nut, you're a weirdo, and kids who go to like Bible study and things like that, other kids will make fun of them and say you're a geek, you're a dork, you're a loser. It's troubling. It's disturbing to me. And again, I'm not saying that you should have to believe in anything or you should have to go to church. No, of course not. Of course, you should be absolutely free to choose what you believe in or don't believe in. But it's creepy. It's really troubling to me that now you're looked down on by a lot of people if you A, have religious beliefs, and B, profess them in any way. Like the religious right, they're looked at as wackos and they're crazy and they hate women, they hate whatever. It's kind of creepy to me. Another aspect that has really bothers me about modern culture, particularly in the USA, is the narcissism that social media has really infiltrated our society with. It's, every kid now, I shouldn't say every kid, but a lot of kids, they want to be famous. They think they're special and they're some sort of star because they see these reality shows that all goes back to like the real world. And it's just people walking around doing dopey day-to-day shit. But now they're TV stars because of it. And they're paid to just basically do nothing. And you have the Kardashians who, they're all fabulously wealthy and gorgeous. But what do they do? Why are they famous? What have they accomplished? It's in the old days, you had to, if you were famous, it was typically because you accomplished something great or you had some great talent or, you did something significant to help society at large or your country or your fellow man. Why are people famous now? Sometimes it's for no good reason, nothing that really you can put your finger on. Maybe they're just really good looking, or they had some viral video of them doing something silly or stupid, or it can be anything. But it sends a message to developing minds, impressionable minds, that you don't have to accomplish anything. You don't have to make anything meaningful of your life. You're fascinating, you're special, and you shouldn't have to work for anything. You should just be rewarded and lavished with money and fame, fortune, just because you're you and you want to be. It's a sense of entitlement, and that sense of entitlement, I think, has pervaded especially the U.S. culture, and it's a big reason why the U.S. has fallen behind in things like education That's why other countries are creeping up on us or have crept up on us. When I was a kid, you could say the USA is the most powerful, greatest nation on earth. I'd like to say that now, but I can't say that with any degree of confidence anymore. And I know this is going out to other countries, but I'm saying this as an American, and my kids are American. So yeah, it does trouble me that they're growing up in the world where values have been sort of cast aside. The moral compass has gone astray, and social media has got people to the point. Another thing that bothers me about computers and social media and the phones and all that is there's so little face-to-face interaction. Just an example, they're used to texting and messaging each other now. A lot of them can't even talk on the phone. Like I remember my son, he's 18. We made him get a job, obviously, a few years ago. I said, you got to start working. I'm not giving you money all the time for all the dumb shit you want to do, like go to the movies or McDonald's or whatever. You got to start making your own money, kid. So, we'd fill out applications or whatever, but I'd have to help him with that. But then if he had to call the places and ask about for an interview or whatever, I had to do that. I had to help coach him through that because he didn't know how to conduct himself on the phone. He still doesn't really, he's not that great at it because there's not a lot of that anymore. People just it's all texting and they're getting illiterate because of all the abbreviations and everything. That's another thing is people don't read anymore. That bothers me. I mean, I know I sound like a grouchy old man now, complaining about all this stuff, but yeah, the world has changed, and in many ways, I don't feel it's changed for the better. That being said, I don't think the world is ending. I don't think the Antichrist is going to rise up anytime soon, and I don't foresee any of that happening anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, certain things like the environment, I do think things are gradually getting worse in many ways, and that does bother me because I had these children in 1994 and 1999, and this is the world they're inheriting. So obviously I feel partly responsible for that because, I brought them into this world. So yeah, I mean, that's been quite a rant, hasn't it? I know you guys only tuned in to hear if I was ever going to hire a guru. So the answer was yes, I would hire, if I had an unlimited amount of money, even if I could buy the best gear and all the other ancillary, all the other drugs that are used, I would still hire someone to help me use it properly because I'm too lazy. If I had all the money and didn't have to worry about it, I would not make the effort to go research and do all that because I could just have someone do it for me. So that's been Ask Ron for today. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all your questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the MD page. Click on the little bell thing so you get notifications, and I'll talk to you later.